Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be covering a brand new huge Nintendo Switch eShop sale and 10 more games worth buying, so let's get into it. Now the first game on today's list is Evil Tonight. And so Evil Tonight is a unique 16-bit survival horror game, and it plays similar to classic games like Resident Evil, but set in a 16-bit bird's eye view style. And you play as Sylvia, a young exorcist, and on one of her jobs, she gets trapped in a massive school and needs to find her way out and face off against challenging puzzles, crazed monsters, and intense boss fights. And so as you'll explore the school, you'll find different keys, special items, healing items, new weapons, all while dealing with crazed monsters and a limited ammo supply. The game can definitely be incredibly tough and challenging, but if you're looking for a more retro aesthetic survival horror game, I definitely recommend it. Alright, the next game on today's list is Anuchard. And so this game is a 2D action adventure game where you'll play as a bell wielder, which is basically a character that uses a giant bell as a weapon. And you'll use this bell to dive into different dungeons to rescue souls from your village in hopes of restoring your ancient settlement against the forces of evil. So like I mentioned, it's a retro-inspired action-adventure game. There's several different puzzle elements to the game, challenging boss fights, and as you rescue villagers along the way, they'll be able to help you rebuild the town and unlocking new abilities to upgrade and power up your character. On top of that, you're able to cook different food items prior to going into the dungeon, and this can further power up your character as well, preparing you for the oncoming battles. If you're looking for a fun, unique dungeon crawler with some light puzzle elements, I would definitely recommend checking this one out as well. Alright, the next game on today's list is Eterna Nocturis. Now I probably butchered that name, but this game is a challenging Metroidvania style game. And so you'll play as the King of Darkness as he takes on the Queen of Light in a never-ending battle that has spanned millennia, and you've been defeated in this most recent challenge and lost all of your powers. And so you go on a quest to explore the land, regain your powers, and once again take on the Queen of Light. And so this game is incredibly challenging. It's similar to games like Hollow Knight mixed with Dark Souls. The action platforming is incredibly intense, so expect to die a lot. There's a massive skill tree to unlock, tons of hidden secrets, and the game is really massive as well. Now thankfully they've added some accessibility options to the game where you can make it a little easier and the action platforming doesn't get as intense. It has a really cool hand-drawn art style, and if you like challenging Metroidvania games or games similar to Hollow Knight, this is one worth checking out. Alright, the next game on today's list is Mystic Gate. And so this game is a roguelike bullet hell dungeon crawler, and the general premise of the story is that there's a Mystic Gate that has appeared in a trial that you can complete, but the person that makes it to the end of this trial will get any wish that they want. And that's really all there is to the story, so there's not a ton going on in that sense, but where it lacks in story, I think it makes up in gameplay. And so as I mentioned, it's a twin-stick shooter dungeon crawler with roguelike elements, and so you'll start off with a basic handgun, dive into the dungeon, and along the way you'll take on waves of enemies, finding new weapons, abilities to power up your character, gold to purchase new items throughout the dungeons. You'll take on challenging bosses, and this is randomized every time. So it's a new unique dungeon. There's several bosses it'll switch between in the first floor, and so your challenge is a little bit different every time. And you'll be able to unlock gems that you can use to upgrade and power up your character that you'll get by finding new items throughout the dungeons, defeating bosses, and completing different challenges as well. So it might be clearing different levels within the dungeons, it might be killing so many monsters with specific weapon types, and again, when you find new items and weapons for the first time, that can unlock gems as well. And so there's a skill upgrade tent before you dive into the dungeon where you can mix and match your skills, where it might be powering up specific gun types, it might be increasing your movement speed, adding the potential of freezing or stunning enemies, and much more. The gameplay is pretty simplistic, but the controls work well, and it's super addicting like most roguelike dungeon crawlers. So if you're looking for a new version of a roguelike dungeon crawler meets twin-stick shooter, I definitely recommend checking it out. Alright, the next game on today's list is Roguebook. So Roguebook is a deck-building game meets tabletop RPG. So one of the main contributors to the game was actually one of the creators of Magic the Gathering. So there's definitely a lot of thought and lore that went into this game. But again, as I mentioned, it plays similar to deck building games like Slay the Spire, but then it also combines it with a tabletop RPG-like aesthetic. And so you'll have two characters that you initially start with, but you're able to unlock new ones as you progress throughout the story, and each character has their own unique playstyle. And so you can mix and match who your two characters are that you're using at a time, and that will create a unique deck that you'll play through against monsters. But on top of that, you'll have kind of a tabletop overworld that starts off mainly covered and hidden, but as you play, you'll be able to reveal and progress and find different hidden items and treasures and locations across the board. And so this plays into part of the strategy as well, where you might unlock entire sections or reveal certain pathways to get to your next treasure or item location. It does have those roguelike elements as well, so the world and items and weapons and monsters that you'll fight are randomized each time you go through an area, and so that creates that unique experience as you progress through the game. If your team dies, you'll revert back to the start of the challenge, but there are also ways to permanently upgrade your characters as well. So I think if you're looking for a unique deck building experience that combines that with a tabletop RPG and turn-based battles, you'll definitely like this game as well. Alright, the next game on today's list is Knights and Guns. And so this is more of an arcade style game that feels a little bit similar to arcade classics like Space Invaders, but with definitely a lot of modern gameplay elements thrown in as well. And so you'll play as knights that are defending their village against oncoming monsters, and there's a huge world to explore as you try and take out these monster dens and save your village. And so you can play in a solo mode, but also with co-op as well. And so you'll be able to shoot and dash and jump, as well as unlock a unique special power ability. And you really only have the ability to shoot directly up. But throughout the game, you'll acquire gold that you can use to upgrade your character, get better armor, purchase new unique weapons for specific missions, and much more. And so in general, you're just trying to clear out all the enemies on a level, but sometimes you're just trying to survive a certain amount of time within a level. Sometimes you need to beat levels with specific weapons, which give it an extra challenge. You don't need to fully explore the entire world, but that is an option. So if you're looking for some arcade style shoot 'em up fun with a unique twist, with some RPG elements that make it a little bit more addicting, I definitely recommend checking this one out as well. Alright, the next game on today's list is Origami II. And so this game is a third-person stealth action-adventure game where you play as a ninja that's trying to save their clan that is being ravaged by a strange disease. On top of that, you'll be facing off against another ninja clan that's trying to destroy the land, and so you'll need to go on different stealth-based missions to take out enemies, and as you complete these, you'll unravel the mystery of what's killing off your clan and how to save everyone. And so again, the game has a lot of stealth-based mechanics, so you'll be climbing up walls, jumping on rooftops, and stealthily taking out enemies with your unique set of abilities. And over time, as you clear missions, you'll get rankings depending on how well you did. And when you do this, you'll gain points you'll be able to use to upgrade your character, further unlocking new abilities. There's different play styles for your character as well, and you'll be able to change between these as you go through the missions. And there's a lot of difficulty settings you can choose between for each mission as well. And so this will make things harder, like making the enemies discover you more easily, which increase the intensity. There's a variety of levels and a lot of different challenges, so if you like stealth mechanics and playing as a ninja with crazy abilities, I think you'll like this game as well. Alright, the next game on today's list is Oceanhorn II, Knights of the Lost Realm. And so this is the second game in the Oceanhorn series, and it takes place 1,000 years prior to the first game. I don't think you need to play the first game though to experience this game and enjoy it. It does have a storyline where you play as a young knight trying to defeat an evil warlock before they destroy the world. But I think over the story, the game really focuses more on the gameplay, and the gameplay itself is very similar to classic 3D Legend of Zelda titles. So it's a 3D action-adventure game meets dungeon crawler, and so you'll go through and experience a somewhat open world where you'll go against puzzle-based challenges, dungeon crawling, and fighting off enemies in this 3D action-adventure game. It's clearly inspired by classic 3D Legend of Zelda games like the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And while it's not quite as good as those classic original titles, it is still really a fun adventure. So if you like 3D action-adventure games, I think this is worth checking out as well. Alright, the next game on today's list is Baldo the Guardian Owls. And so this is another 3D action-adventure game. And so it's almost like a combination between classic Legend of Zelda games and more modern Breath of the Wild, set in this new universe. And so in this game, you play as Baldo, a young hero, that's trying to take on an ancient evil that's been sealed away by owls, and there's been a prophecy that foretells of this ancient evil freeing itself once a pure child has been born. And so that is happening, and you go on an adventure to try and unravel the mystery of this ancient evil and to save the world. And now you may have heard of this game before, as it was supposed to be this huge epic game, but when it first came out it had a lot of glitches and a lot of trouble with it. But it seems like they've added a ton of new patches now, really improving the gameplay and functionality of the game. There's additional DLC now included with it as well. And so if you've been thinking about getting this game before, it's really been patched up and is working great. And so if you're looking for a new Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild-like adventure, this one would definitely be worth checking out. Plus it's on sale, so it's a great time to pick it up as well. Alright, the final game on today's list is Ori and the Blind Forest. Now this game is an amazing Metroidvania style game with a touching story, amazing graphics, and phenomenal gameplay. And so in this game you play as Ori, a young guardian spirit that's fallen from the spirit tree and goes on an epic quest to save the forest. And so after a catastrophe, the forest has been withered and died and been overrun by evil. And so as young Ori, you'll go on a quest to restore the forest and save the land. And so it's a unique Metroidvania game where the character Ori will unlock new abilities by defeating enemies and finding items hidden throughout the world. You'll have a skill tree to unlock, and the game features really intense platforming, challenging bosses, and a really compelling story. I really enjoyed the artwork of this game. When it came out, it was definitely in an art style I had never really seen before, and works incredibly well within the game. This is definitely one of the best Metroidvanias in recent years, and it's on a massive discount right now. So if you haven't yet picked up Ori and the Blind Forest, you definitely should. But again, that wraps up our list of 10 new games worth buying in this week's Nintendo Switch eShop sale. So if you found some games you like, let us know in the comments below. If there's new games you're going to pick up that you just heard about, let us know that as well. If there's other great games we missed, be sure to let us know in the comments. We're always looking to play new great games on the channel here. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out, and to make sure you don't miss out on any future sale videos so you can take advantage of these great deals. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.